You've been recording us, right?
Yeah. To edit some of this out.
I think it's okay to feel sassy sometimes.
Yeah.
It's human. I think that you want to be real, so be real.
I think what kills me is I personally get into these ebbs and flows that I feel are so extreme sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never found a great way to rationalize or use it to an advantage other than saying to God, please take this. Because I don't know what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every morning when I wake up, one of the first things out of my mouth is I offer up any joys, works, and sufferings for this day. And in recent time, feels like a lot of suffering. And if it's not my suffering, it's hearing about somebody else's suffering.
Mm-hmm. So you don't think you offering that up at the beginning of the day is, all right, whatever comes, it's going to be used?
I hope so.
Okay.
I hope so. I mean, I feel like I'm sometimes of two minds, and it's really weird
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know what to do with that either. And maybe that's just the sign of a crazy person.
What are the two minds?
Well, I think deep down, I believe everything that I'm talking about. I believe in all of the things that we continue to talk about. I believe in this higher power. I believe in the Catholic faith, and I believe in sacrifice and offering up and what suffering is really about. And there's another piece of me that's, what are we doing?
I think that's human. It's a human experience. I think we wouldn't have one side of the coin without the other. Is that not enough of an answer?
I don't think it is for me. I think I need more because the rational side of me is always trying to figure out why. Why are we going through this? What is going on? Why did this suddenly get harder?
Mm.
And this week is like a perfect example of that. There are so many people I'm surrounded by right now at work that for whatever reason, it's been my life, my entire career, but for whatever reason, people feel comfortable talking to me
Mm-hmm.
and they feel comfortable unloading on me.
And you've hit your max?
And I think I've hit my max because there's so many people I'm surrounded by right now that are so in the, what is the word for it? Just low morale. People that are just like at their limit.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I talk to somebody, even if it's just to get a question answered, it's like everybody is at their wit's end. And there's a lot of layoffs and a lot of other crazy stuff going on right now, not just where I work, but I think throughout the world you're seeing a lot of that.
Uncertainty and stress. But
And
those people aren't necessarily using the same tools that we have available to us.
I agree, but like where my mind goes is this part of my purpose to listen to people? But like what happens when I take it all in and now I'm in a crappy mood because people have unloaded, like taken a big emotional shit on me. Like what am I supposed to do with that?
The first thing I'm thinking of, and we've already talked about it on another episode, is like, can you not take that to quiet time, to prayer time? And then my brain immediately goes adoration. That's what's supposed to give back to you, like strength and calm and peace and like build you back up. So
Probably should have done that today.
What?
but kind of adoration for a little
No,
while.
I don't think that that's the only option, but it's like the most quiet option if you feel like you're not getting that at home or anywhere else.
In a week like this week, given the stress, and there's a number of other things that are kind of compounding on the back end that are making it more stressful, just trying to figure out next steps, trying to hook up with people to talk about what next steps might be. And it's like all of the things that I thought could be productive this week that I made sacrifices to make happen kind of fell through. So it was like, it's all the negativity compounded by all of these other things that totally out of my control. But I'm like, man, I cannot get a break this week. And this morning, it was like so hard to get up. And I'm like, I need to get up because I'm not going back to sleep. I'm sitting here wide awake. I'm thinking about things. I'm thinking about how to like push myself forward, but I get into this stuck place. I'm like, all right, I might as well go take a shower, get ready for church, and then Jessie will wake up when Jessie wakes up, and then we'll go. And like, I know that I didn't talk the entire way to church this morning, and I feel bad about that. But it's like I am so tired, and I just don't have. It's not that I'm like mad. I just don't have anything to say. I think I'm just so like overtired, and I had all these crappy stress dreams last night. And it's like we get to mass and we're late. I'm sitting in the back row and it's like so hard to focus. All of these things are going on the altar, in the readings, incense, music, like all of these things that
Children crying.
like these somebody and it at some point it smelled like somebody died or something. Like
It wasn't funny.
it was it was like the way that I was feeling personified through smell.
Yep.
It's just awful.
It's funny how we both had that thought, but we're both too tired to talk about it.
Yeah, like
after
have, like,
church.
no like oomph. There's no gas in the tank.
But there was in the room.
Yeah. Well, I think it was a child in front of us. I'm hoping that it was the child in front of us. I just hate that so much when you go to mass and it's like you want to participate and you keep trying to force yourself to participate, but it's like there's almost this mental block. Do you hear that? Even the dog is sighing about it. He's sick of hearing about it.
Tired of these people.
I don't know. I hate that. Then even afterwards, I'm like, everybody's on their rush to get out the door, to get into the parking lot, to sit in their car, to wait in traffic so they can eventually go home.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like a good opportunity to me to sit there in the middle of the church in quiet and apologize to God for not being present, even though you were trying to be present and pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the bifold or trifold printed out, it's not a bulletin, but it's like an outline of mass we've had recently because of the building function that's currently going on. It has this prayer that everybody says at the beginning of mass for this building that's going on. And I just look down and I'm in the middle of apologizing to God for not being at mass mentally. And I look down and I'm like this bifold, trifold, quadfold, whatever you want to call it, is open.
Mm-hmm.
And the hymn that we must have missed on the way into mass was, I heard the voice of Jesus say. And I'm looking at the lyrics, and it's one of those things where I don't know if the two things are related. I just think it's kind of funny. But
While internally going, where is he? Where is his voice?
but like the lyrics are, I heard the voice of Jesus say, come unto me and rest. Lay down, O weary one, lay down, thy head upon my breast. I came to Jesus as I was, weary and worn and sad. I found in him a resting place, and he has made me glad. it's it's irony. So now I'm wondering if all of this stuff has happened just so God could get a kick out of that.
So that he can laugh at you?
I don't know. I just think it's funny that it was open, and that's exactly what I saw.
I'm tearing up a little bit because I keep picturing like laying my head on Jesus's chest because I don't have words. I don't have anything to say.
Why don't you have anything to say?
Because sometimes in suffering, you don't have words,
Which is probably why I wasn't talking this morning.
which is okay. It's okay not to talk. I think that's something that you personally struggle with. You personally struggle with not talking. It's okay not to talk sometimes.
My counselor keeps saying, stop filling the silence. Difficult to do.
It's interesting. I wonder if part of this is becoming more okay with that.
Maybe. I don't know.
What if you not hearing things, just throwing out ideas because I don't know any more than you do. But what if you not hearing things is part of what you're supposed to learn, if not the whole thing? Like, what if the learning experience is to be okay in the silence? Not just for you not talking, but also with God.
I think what kills me about what you're saying is I feel like it's been that way a lot, though. So how is this different?
Have you ever felt okay in the silence with God?
No, because my mind goes elsewhere.
You're saying you feel that way a lot.
Yeah, but that doesn't answer my
You haven't
question.
obtained anything from it. What if that is the thing, if not one of many, that you're supposed to obtain from it?
I hear what you're saying.
But I don't like it.
No, it's not even that I don't like it. What's the lesson?
To be okay in the silence.
I guess this is where I break the fourth wall and I look at the audience and I go, I hear what she's saying. It computes in my head and I can think that I'm okay with it. But I don't think that I'm okay with it. So
So you're not there yet on your learning journey.
my interior castle has a moat around it.
Oh.
I don't understand.
Don't understand what I'm saying, or you don't understand in general?
When you say that maybe you're being taught to be okay with something,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. But like I can sit here and say I'm okay with it and know that that's like the correct thing to think, but it's still agonizing.
Well, duh.
Life is misery and pain.
And we have to laugh because without misery and pain, there is no laughter. And without laughter, there is no misery and pain and suffering.
Today is one of those days I did want to go find a priest and just like shake them and go like, what am I supposed to feel?
Mm.
And then buy them breakfast afterwards because I don't want to upset anybody.
And talk to them.
Wish that when you went to confession, if we do truly believe that you are speaking through a priest to God, I wish it would function like that in a reciprocal way.
What? That the priest would see us as God's children?
That the priest was given the words by God to say to us.
Sometimes it lands and sometimes it doesn't.
I think that's
another
that's the
example
struggle.
of they're trying, but they're only human. Just like us right now in suffering. We're trying, but we're only human. I've had lots of examples of people telling me something that felt like it came straight from God, from a priest, and then some things where people feel absolutely destroyed by something they said a priest said to them. So they're trying, but they're only human. We're trying. We're only human.
It's just funny to me that I can sit here and be upset and kind of feel lost, but I don't ever doubt in what we believe. And that's another part of this. Maybe there's actually like 3 brains in my head.
Let's keep going. Maybe there's more.
And there might be.
What's the third one that you're talking about right now?
I don't know. He's gone.
It was quiet for too long.
It's too quiet. I think I actually heard a distant door open and
I
close.
don't like it here. I'm leaving.
Adios.
Just because you don't like it, it's hard to sit with things that you don't like, but I don't understand why that couldn't be like an aha moment for you. I wonder if it's also hard to sit in the silence because so many things are coming at you constantly too. Like people are coming to you and saying, you're a person I can talk to. Let me unload on you. And then for you to go spend time in quiet to recharge your battery to a certain degree, it's like, wait a second, I have forgotten how to do that, or I don't know how to do that because things are constantly coming at you, whether it's through like TV, films, people, podcasts that you're listening to, music. And all of those things can be helpful at certain times, but then they can also be detrimental at another time when you're not getting the quiet to recharge. And it does seem like Lent, to a certain degree, to me, is a time that you could allow for that quiet. Because if all of our goal is to get to heaven someday, wouldn't it make sense that we need that quiet time to recharge, to think about all of the things that we're doing to try to get there, doing or not doing, and evaluate all of that. And Jesus even did that. He went away in prayer, in quiet, in time with God. So if we're supposed to follow that example, it only seems appropriate that that would be helpful to us. But with the world that we live in, there's so many things coming at us, is what I'm trying to get at, that it's hard to take a deep breath and be in quiet. Even when you try to do that, your mind is going.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a foreign concept for me in this moment.
Yeah.
I tried to get it this morning, which is part of the reason I wanted to stay seated for a little while everybody was walking out.
At the end of Mass.
Yeah. It seems like that is a moment in time for me to kind of take that in. But I know we're human. I know we're surrounded by so much noise on a day-to-day basis, but it is really tough sometimes just to get to that moment of quiet where stuff isn't constant.
I agree.
This has been a really challenging Lent.
You're really going through it.
Just me.
In this moment about it. Why does it seem like I'm going through it?
Just keep thinking about Lionel Richie.
Oh?
Yeah, he can't slow down. Neither can I.
How does that apply to Lent? Do you feel it would be helpful to slow down?
Slow down and just stop for a second.
I don't feel like it's been a difficult Lent in comparison to the past year for me personally. I think the past year has been full of both difficult and good moments.
There's been a lot of difficult and good moments too. I just feel for whatever reason, like over the last 2 weeks, it feels like the temperature went way up.
So since the beginning of Lent?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's weird to feel so on the train tracks and so into, like, I love being productive and meeting an objective and delivering or executing on something. Like, sometimes there's hard work and stress in delivering and working on something. And I feel to some degree, it's like, you know what you're doing at work. You're starting your day off with the rosary. You're starting your day off with a prayer. You're thinking about all of the things that matter. And you're really factoring it into every moment of your day. And then one day you wake up and it's like a little out of sync. You're like, well, everything felt so good yesterday. Everything was so together yesterday. Everything was so, I had it all appropriate. I knew what I was going to do at this time. I knew when I was praying this morning, I knew to include this person that is going through XYZ. Like you're just considering all of the things, like everything works in tandem, and you're like, yep, I feel fulfilled. And then it's 10 o'clock at night and you're like, I can go to sleep tonight and I can rest well. And I feel like I really use my day to the max. And then the next day, it's like things are a little out of whack. It's like, what changed? And that's how I feel like for the last 2 weeks. Everything was going so good. Now it's just like a little bit out of sync. But it's like somebody touched the tuning knob like while I walked away. I'm trying to figure out how to get it back there.
Interesting. I wonder what you're supposed to do differently, or if it really is just being okay, not being okay.
Like I went to confession earlier this week just to make sure that I'm still in God's good grace.
Because by that point it had been a week. Okay, what can I do differently?
Yeah, like let me just make sure that we're good.
What did I do? What if it's not about us?
I know. That's the other part of it. I'm like, oh, did my ego get in the way again? Is it pride? Am I already sinning and need to go back to confession?
I just wonder if it's because like of the same thing I said. It probably all goes back to that because we're physical and spiritual beings, and that's where we struggle.
Yeah. Then I go, are we doing something good and are we being attacked for it? Like, is that the other part of it?
In attempting to do the podcast?
Yeah.
That could be. Don't let the devil win.
I think it's doubt. Doubt and confusion. My arch nemesis is.
That sounds like the devil.
Yeah.
Both of those things. I'm kind of amazed that nothing's happening while we're recording to make that things mess up for that reason.
Please don't will it into existence.
I'm not willing it into existence. You just named two things that I think do come from the devil. What would make it better?
Purpose and working towards that purpose and not feeling like I'm stuck somewhere mundane. I think the last year and a half have been a lot about trying to find purpose. And I hate feeling stuck. I hate not learning new things. I hate feeling like the day-to-day is just the day-to-day. I'm not comfortable with that. I don't like being comfortable in being comfortable. And I hate continually feeling this tug, like I am supposed to do something and not knowing what that thing is. And I think that was a big part of starting this podcast, was one of many reasons to have fruitful conversations with you, or colorful ones like the one we're having today, and trying to figure out what that purpose is, trying to engage one another about our faith, just trying to figure out that purpose.
I thought we had done that by doing this. I thought this was as narrow as you can get.
I feel sometimes like I'm in this hot air balloon and I don't know where it's going because it's going north and south and east and west. And I need somebody to just shoot it down. I know.
Is the silence hard?
Not as much today, but I think it's because I'm tired.
Makes sense.
Do you think that's it? Is that the lesson? Like I'm just being exhausted and depleted so that I can live in the silence comfortably? Just roll my eyes.
You did say that you didn't sleep well last night, so that would
The
only
worst
contribute to your
dreams.
tiredness.
Worst dreams, like the most stressful dreams ever.
Stress dreams are the worst.
And it kept going. Every time I fell back asleep, it kept going. It was like this story that was unabridged. And it just kept going.
I'm so sorry. So in a marriage, when one person is feeling this way, what do you think you're supposed to do?
Be there for them, support them, try to figure out if there's something that you can do to help them along. I don't always know the answer to that, though, because everybody's wired just a little differently. Even I don't know how my brain works.
It's okay. How do you think you figure it out? Do you think part of it might be being quiet with God?
Sure, but what if you sit somewhere for like 24 hours on quiet and you don't hear anything?
You think your heart could still be changed? Even if you don't hear anything? Like, what if it's like that meter where it's like down really low and then somehow you get filled up with energy to go forward just because you spent some time in quiet contemplation or prayer?
I used to have a friend that would hang out with me and some other mutual friends, and his parents would always pick him up very early on from when we started hanging out And a running joke was that he had a fun meter. And once that fun meter hit its limit, his parents would pick him up because he was having too much fun.
There was an alarm that went off
Mm-hmm.
with the parents.
Yep. I figured it was like a
It's time to go pick him up.
life lock or whatever the hell that thing is called.
He's having too much fun.
Too much. I'm afraid that in the entirety of this conversation, I'm going to come off like a man baby, and I don't want that either.
You're not a man baby. I think every human struggles with all of the things that you're struggling with.
Yeah, but I'm saying them out loud. I'm
think-
being vulnerable. Another phrase that I hate.
Why do you hate that phrase?
Because just say what you think or don't.
All right. Aren't you doing that?
Yeah. So why do you have to say I'm being vulnerable in front of it?
You said it. I didn't.
Making a point. I'm acting. We're actors.
No. Being real. Not actors.
It's all a big play. It's funny in talking all of this, and like the back of my head is feeling guilty because I know that there are other people that are suffering with things far greater than me.
I have that too.
Like I found out somebody very close is struggling with cancer last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I just keep thinking about that and how horrible that is.
How that's way more than the suffering that you're going through.
Yeah, I mean, it makes everything that I'm talking about almost seem infantile.
Yeah, it does.
And then I go, okay, so when I'm going through doubt and what I conceive to be some type of turmoil or suffering, is that who we're offering it up for?
Why wouldn't it be?
That's what I'm asking.
I think I have to believe that if my prayers are not going to be used for me, my sufferings, my joys, then I think that they only need to be used for others. And if we really sit there and say, God, whatever your will is, then there would be a will outside of ours. I think where we suffer and struggle is not seeing what that will is all the time.
Right. One of the things that's always been interesting to me about Catholicism, and I come back to it often but never really verbalize it. You'll hear in Mass sometimes when the priest says, let's proclaim the mystery of faith.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of faith to me is a mystery.
It is.
And this is one of those moments because of what you just said about struggling to understand God's will.
It's a mystery.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's all about being tested. It's like, I just don't know.
Yeah. We're constantly on this journey trying to figure that out while trying to become little saints.
Makes me wonder about the part of the Bible where Jesus is in the desert and he's being tempted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man.
Do you feel like you're getting a small taste of that, or?
No, I doubt it. I doubt I'm getting even a small taste of that.
A millimeter?
I doubt it.
Millisecond? A crumb?
No.
If you feel that way, if you don't even feel a tiny bit of what Jesus did, and this is a question that I have personally, so I don't have an answer to it, then why is it so hard for us? Like, if you really believe that God suffered, and he suffered in the ultimate way, in ways that we can't even comprehend, then why is it then when we suffer, it isn't just an instant snap, I'm giving this back to you, use it as you will, to God? Why do we struggle so much in the in-between, in the two places in between, from like the moment that you're suffering to giving it to God or not?
I mean, my immediate thought is that because we're human beings and we're fallible.
My mind goes there too. Does it go anywhere else?
I think because we're fallible human beings, we're subject to all of the things that go along with that. I immediately want to go to the 7 like deadly sins of lust and greed and so on and so forth. But I think part of it goes back to what you said earlier regarding noise. There's just so much noise. And then I think another piece of it is I just don't think that's where our minds go right away. And maybe that's part of the purification process, is to get us closer to that mindset. But I know like when things break down, somebody cuts in front of me on the highway and I have to slam on my brakes, somebody's taking too slow walking to an elevator at work, I don't have patience to listen to to somebody and I'm just like, get to the point, my first thought is not to offer it up.
I know.
My first thought is to say, hurry up, or some other colorful word.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, like, in the last year or so, I've tried to get better about thinking a little differently, but it's not till after I make my mistake
Yeah.
or the mistake, if you will. It's like I get upset about the thing, and then after the fact, I go, okay, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that, or I should offer that up. And then I'm like, is it too late? Did I miss the moment?
I don't think so. If we have something like confession available to us, then I would think that the thought process is it's never too late. Not that you need to go confess that, but I'm saying that in itself is a representation of it's never too late.
Do you need to go to confess that? I don't know. I don't even know if that's like a confessable, probably, right?
I was just trying to clarify that I wasn't saying go to confession. I was just saying it's an example of it's never too late. I'm also thinking about the people that have been presented to you in the last little bit. Every time you've told me about somebody who's suffering and they feel like they need to come to you with it and they want to talk to you about things, I've thought, well, you're supposed to be an example of your faith to them, and maybe you'll give them hope, and maybe it'll plant a seed of how they could look at things a little bit differently in the same way that you do, like with your own faith. But now, as you're talking, I'm also wondering if those things are allowed to a certain degree. I'm not saying it can't be both of these things, but I wonder if they're also allowed to a certain degree to scramble you. And you're talking about your 2 or 3 different versions of how you think about things in your brain. I wonder if they're allowed to get you off track potentially by the devil, by anything outside of God. Like you could have those encounters and you could be taken down like you currently are feeling. And I know that you will find your way out of how you are feeling, but you could, any person could let themselves be taken down by the things that are outside of your control, because so many things are outside of our control.
I think what's hard though is that I don't like the normal things don't work that typically take me out of it, right? Like I've talked at length about how helpful the rosary has been for me
Mm-hmm.
and how helpful that is to start my day. And it's not that it's not, it just feeling a degree of silence right now, which is ironic considering that that's basically what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
But I think I'm feeling even more radio silence than normal.
What if the purpose is to continue to do those things even though you don't have the quote feeling that goes with them? Saying to yourself, to God, I'm going to do this even if I don't feel you or I don't feel your presence.
Maybe that's what I am not tapping into. Maybe that's I was going to say phraseology, but I don't think phraseology is the right word.
Definitely needs to be a word. If it's not, is that a word?
Phraseology?
Yeah. I like that word.
I'm sure that it is.
Good job if it's not. I think there's like, we have all the examples of all the different saints who felt that way, like a spiritual desolation to a certain point. Even the ones that we now talk about as being closest to God.
Phraseology is a word.
Okay.
It's a mode of expression, especially one characteristic of a particular speaker or writer.
Darn. Thought we were on to something.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever made up a word before.
Uh,
No, I wish I had. It is really weird how silence has been the overarching theme of this. Trying to live in silence and not finding it. Being silent because I'm upset and tired.
Yep.
And then the silence that I feel like I'm getting from God. It's such a weird, it's the holy trinity of silence.
There's a theme in what we're talking about today. I wondered where it was going to go when we turned on our recording.
And that the recording that's been anything but silent.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
It's kind of hard to do a podcast and do tribute to silence.
It'd be pretty edgy. Just let it record
Today
for
we're
an
going
hour
to
in
talk
silence.
about...
That's not silent. That's always.
Maybe that can be April Fool's Day prank.
What else do we have? What else could What would be a good note to end on? Because it might be a little bit more pessimistic than anticipated. And I'm not trying to make anybody upset.
Why would you think that what we're talking about would make anybody upset?
I don't know. It's making me upset.
I'm sorry.
It's good to talk about, but I don't have answers. I don't have real answers. This is a lot of pondering and wondering, and
It is.
I
Which
guess
is
that's
also part of our human experience. Is that what you were going to say?
exactly what I was going to say.
Sorry. Took
That's
your
all right.
words away so that you could be quiet.
No, I'm glad you shared.
I think if we were to ask people if they felt this way, pretty much every person that you encounter would say yes to a certain degree to both the suffering and the feeling of silence / desolation in different ways. Even if it's not spiritual,
It's a good thing to think about.
you're not alone, even if you feel alone.
Thanks for sharing. Sharing is caring.
Now you're just trying to think of quippy things to say.
It's my defense mechanism.